Okay, we are back. So today is the last two statements in this chapter 7. Basically, last two statements for this particular commentary. So statement 14 says, the three kayas are not separate, but abide continuously together. The three kayas are not separate, but they abide continuously together. So here, the three kayas. Kaya, here, literally kaya is form or body. Form or body. So, rupa is another word. Rupa has more the connotation of like appearance and form. Kaya has more, and these are Sanskrit words here. Kaya has more the connotation of like body. And body also has connotation of like essence, actually. Also have the connotation of like what is, as like in English, we will say like, what is the body? Like of this like argument, like sometimes we say, what is the body of evidence? Something like that. So like, what is like there, right? So kaya has this sense of body, essence, what constitutes something, someone. Then in this context, when we say the three kayas, or in Sanskrit, trikaya, 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 or the three kayas, the three enlightened beings, three levels of this enlightened being. So it's the Dharmakaya, it's the Sambhogakaya, it's the Nirmanakaya. In secret mantra, you will come across a fourth kaya called Swabhavika Kaya. Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Then in secret mantra sources, in the tantras, you will come across Swabhavika Kaya, being the fourth one. So first, let's start with Dharmakaya. In the pre-Mahayana texts and sources, you will come across this expression Dharmakaya. So even in the Pali tradition, which is a non-Mahayana tradition, the Pali tradition is the tradition that exists as Theravada in like Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and wherever Theravada Buddhism has spread, in contemporary times. So in the authoritative text of the Theravada tradition, which is the Pali canon, the Pali texts, you will come across this word Dharmakaya or Dhammakaya. There it generally just refers to the body of Dharma teachings, body in that sense, and Dharma in the sense of the Dharma teachings, Dharma as teachings. So the body of teachings. So in pre-Mahayana sources, for example, the Buddha says, he who sees, so towards the end of Buddha Shakyamuni's life, some of his disciples were understandably very distraught. And these are disciples who have not fully achieved enlightenment. So they were distraught, they were sad, and so the Buddha said to them, like, if you see the Dharma, the teachings, then you have seen me. Those who see the Dharma see me. Conversely, those who don't see those teachings, Dharma as teachings, then they have not seen me at all. So then he says, rely on the Dharma, even when I'm gone. Or when I'm gone especially, you rely on the Dharma. And if you rely on the Dharma, if you see the Dharma, then you have seen me. So in that sense, the Dharma is a body, Dharma Kaya. In the Mahayana sources, Dharma Kaya, yes, can and does have that meaning, but Dharma Kaya has a further meaning in Mahayana sources. In Mahayana sources, Dharma Kaya now also includes the meaning that takes Dharma to mean not just the teachings, but also what the teachings are pointing to, what the teachings are leading us to, which is to lead us to Dharma, as in to lead us to reality, to that which is true, to that which is real. The real situation, the real state of things, to reality. So now Dharma is not limited to the teachings that the Buddha gave, but also what Buddhas realize, Dharma. So maybe in English we put capital D, Dharma, to what Buddhas realize. So there in Mahayana, Dharmakaya then refers to, again, not just the body of teachings, but the reality body, so to say, the reality essence. What is? So that's Dharmakaya. When any being go from the state of an ordinary being to an awakened being, they have realized the Dharmakaya. Because it is by realizing reality as it is, completely, thoroughly, without mistake, that one goes from being an ordinary being into, like the various stages of Bodhisattva until the 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva. Then at the 11th level is when you go from a non-Buddha, so to say, to a fully perfect and complete Buddha. At that time, Dharmakaya is achieved, is realized. Then furthermore, in Mahayana sources, they also speak of, as a result of realizing, achieving this Dharmakaya, then the Rupakaya manifests for the benefit of beings. So now Rupa, remember I said the word Rupa is interchangeable with Kaya, but Rupa has more the sense of appearance. So now Rupakaya is, you could say, often translated as the form body, or as in form, as in the appearance, the form body. So Dharmakaya, you could say, is essence body, the essence of reality body. Now Rupakaya is referring to the Shakyamuni that people could see, people could relate to, people could hear, people could receive teachings from. And then after the passing of Buddha Shakyamuni, right, then the relics, and the stupas that enshrine and tomb those relics are considered Rupakayas. As in, this essence still having an appearance, still having a form. When Shakyamuni was alive, then, that person with the 32 major and 80 minor marks, that is the Rupakaya. This Rupakaya then is further elaborated into Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. Sambhogakaya means literally enjoyment. Sambhoga, Sanskrit, means enjoyment. Kaya, again, body, the enjoyment body. Then Nirmana Kaya. Nirmana is like manifested body. So when Rupakaya is further kind of divided, then basically what you have is Sambhogakaya are the more subtle bodies that Buddhas show to advanced beings. So it is said that ordinary human eyes, with the human level of confusion, we have no capacity to perceive Sambhogakayas. So such as, Buddha Amitabha. Of course, we paint him, we represent him, but the actual Buddha Amitabha, in that sense, it has more the quality of a Sambhogakaya, as in you and I, we cannot just look and say, oh, there it is. Nirmanakaya, it is said that when Shakyamuni was walking around in India, basically everybody could see. Now, of course, not everybody saw the same thing, even with Buddha Shakyamuni. Not everybody saw the same thing. As I said, among his disciples, of course, they could see a Nirmanakaya, so to say. In fact, he was called a supreme Nirmanakaya, because then there are other forms, such as now for you and me, all the tankas, the paintings, the sculpted images, the crafted images, all those we also call Nirmanakaya, because they in their own way, right, manifest some aspect of the awakened state of Buddhahood. They represent, they manifest some aspect of Buddhahood. And so when we see the statues, we see the paintings, we see stupas, all these are also called Nirmanakayas. In fact, Nirmanakaya in the Tibetan context is also the word used to refer to reincarnate lamas, literally tulkus. Tulku is the Tibetan translation for Nirmanakaya. Tulku. Trupa ki ku. Ku is kaya. Trupa is like magical, like manifest, magically manifested. You could say miraculous, for lack of better translation. It's like a manifested. So these reincarnate lamas, Tibetan culture calls them tuku. But the original usage of this word tuku is really referring to like such as Buddha Shakyamuni and others who manifest, whom Buddhas show to others. These are Nirmanakayas. So the three kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. The fourth one, Swabhavikakaya, it means the nature, the self-nature body. That one is said to be the three bodies inseparable is the Swabhavikakaya. So this issue of three bodies being inseparable is what statement 14 is saying. Statement 14, without using the vocabulary of the Swabhavikakaya, here Kyoba Rinpoche says the three kayas are not separate. They are never separate. They're not talking about three different persons. They're talking about three aspects, three mode of being for any and all Buddhas. Any and all Buddhas have these three modes of being. We could translate kaya more loosely, but accurate, although loosely, not a word translation, a meaning translation. You could say mode of being. Mode of being. And so these three modes of beings are not separate, but they abide, they exist. They remain continuously together. So the commentary says, since it is like that, continuing from the previous statement, all the Buddhas endowed with the twofold purity are contained within the three kayas. Twofold purity meaning they have purified, they have removed both the obscurations pertaining to persons and the obscuration pertaining to phenomena, which is mistaken beliefs, messed up beliefs about persons having self, all phenomena having self. These two have been removed, so then they have achieved the twofold purity. They are contained, since all Buddhas endowed with the twofold purity are contained within the three kayas. The Dharmakaya is distinguished by the aspect of undefiled and uncompounded wisdom. The Sambhogakaya with the five certainties, including the ornamentation with Buddha marks, and the Supreme Nirmanakaya with the display of the 12 deeds and other Nirmanakayas. So these are the three. The Dharmakaya, which is undefiled, uncompounded wisdom itself. Sambhogakaya are the Buddhas with all the ornamentations, along with the five certainties. Five certainties are referring to the certainty of teacher, the certainty of place, or the teacher, the certainty of student, the certainty of teaching, the certainty of place, and the certainty of time. As in, the teacher is the perfect teacher, perfect, complete Buddha, Sambhogakaya mode of being. Sambhogakaya mode of being, who do they teach? What does that mode of being of Buddhas, what kind of students? It teaches the students that are said to be, sometimes they're said to be, 8th Bodhisattva Bhumi and above. So they are very advanced. And the Dharma that is taught, again, is profound, advanced Dharma. Where it is taught in, sometimes said, taught in this Pure Land called Akanishta, which is like the highest Pure Land. When it is taught at just the perfect time. So it's sometimes called the five perfections. The perfect teacher, the perfect disciples, the perfect teaching, taught at the perfect place at the perfect time. So these are called the five certainties or the five perfections. Which means basically very amazing place by very amazing teacher to very amazing students, very amazing topic, and amazing right time. Nothing is wasted, nothing is wrong, nothing is missed. But Nirmanakaya mode of being when they teach, some beings, even when they listen, I don't know. So this Supreme Nirmanakayas displaying the 12 deeds and other Nirmanakayas. So Nirmanakayas don't necessarily, the most perfect Nirmanakaya manifestations, they display, they do all the 12 deeds that Buddha Shakyamuni performed, manifested, showed. But there are other Nirmanakayas who don't necessarily do that. So these are the three. Moreover, the three kayas do not have a divisible nature in actuality, so they are not separate, but they abide continuously together without meeting and parting. Maitreya said, one should know that the kayas of the Buddhas are contained within the three kayas. So all kayas of Buddhas, so they are not separate. So now let me read it to you. Choda's commentary, or rather notes, from Professor Zobich, and he quotes Dorje Sherab, one of these early commentaries for this statement. He says, Dorje Sherab says, think of the example of Buddha Shakyamuni, like the historical Buddha. So even though often when we, in Mahayana sources, when they discuss Buddha Shakyamuni, they often kind of present him as an example of Supreme Nirmanakaya, right? They manifest the 12 deeds. But Dorje Sherab says, however, you should not think, oh, Shakyamuni is only a Nirmanakaya, not a Sambhogakaya, not a Dharmakaya. He says that would be mistaken to think like that. Why? Because, you see, he says, as for Buddha Shakyamuni, the Dharmakaya aspect is the aspect of, quote, separate from all proliferations of the phenomena of samsara and nirvana, and spontaneously accomplish realization that possesses the four marks. The four marks meaning the four aspects of purity, bliss, real self, true self, and permanence. So insofar as Buddha Shakyamuni's Dharmakaya aspect, free from all the proliferations, the confusions related to samsara and nirvana, and spontaneously, naturally accomplish the realizations of the qualities, such as especially those four qualities called purity, bliss, true self, and permanence. As for his Sambhogakaya aspect, his mode of being as Sambhogakaya, then is the ornamentation of that Dharmakaya with immeasurable qualities such as the major and minor marks. Finally, discussing his Nirmanakaya aspect, then it is his ability to benefit beings through various actions. So the outer actions, the actual deeds and words of Buddha Shakyamuni, that's the Nirmanakaya mode of being. That he's able to exercise, right, these activities, carry out these activities to benefit beings is because of the Sambhogakaya mode, which is all the Buddha qualities. And where do these Buddha qualities arise from? They arise from his mind having been cleansed and removed of all mental defilements. That's his Dharmakaya mode of being. And so these three modes of of awakened being, these three modes, Dharma mode, Sambhoga mode, and Nirmana mode, they're not talking about, like three different Buddhas. So further, in the beginning of this commentary, Dorje Sherab says, he says, for example, now he's giving he's giving us an understanding. He's helping us understand why some people might think that, Dharmakaya Buddha over here, Sambhogakaya Buddha over here, Nirmanakaya Buddha over here, and they're separate. He says, people make this mistake because of the following. Because like the great mother, Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom, sometimes is called the Dharmakaya, the great mother. Poetically, the perfection of wisdom is called the great mother, because from mother arises the children, right? So the children are the Buddhas. Where the Buddhas arise from? They arise from the perfection of wisdom. So she is called the great mother. So the Dharmakaya is the great mother, perfection of wisdom, endowed with the twofold purity. Her Dharma Dhatu palace, quote unquote, Dharma Dhatu palace, is great emptiness itself. She is surrounded by the retinue of her sons, the Buddhas of the 10 directions. She teaches the perfection of wisdom, the unborn, and so on, the birthless. And she dwells possessing the 5 certainties and is timeless. So some people think, that, the great perfection of wisdom, the mother of all Buddhas, that's Dharmakaya. And she is in the Dharma Dhatu palace, that is her pure land. And then secondly, the Sambhogakaya is Buddha Vairochana, who dwells in this palace called Akanishta Gana Vihya, surrounded solely by bodhisattvas of the 10th Bhumi, teaching solely the Mahayana and remaining at all times with those 5 certainties. Then the Nirmanakaya is such that Buddha Shakyamuni dwells at places that are not fixed, sometimes Vulture Peak, sometimes Shravasti, sometimes Deer Park, sometimes here, sometimes there. And he's surrounded by all kinds of disciples, high and low, the retinues of the 3 vehicles, and he teaches the 3 vehicles. With those 5 aspects, not certain. And it's never certain that it's the perfect teacher, the perfect student. Those can change. And so because of things like this, some people think, Buddha Shakyamuni is a lesser Buddha. Vairochana is a greater Buddha. Mother of perfection of wisdom, greatest Buddha. He says, no. So this is statement 14. Statement 15. Tung, tung, tung. Final statement. Statement 15 is pretty dramatic. It says, all Buddhas abide in the mind streams of beings. Finally, everything that we're learning up in this chapter, the 3 kayas of Buddhas, Buddhas having cause, the cause of Buddhahood doesn't disappear when someone has become Buddhas. Buddha's essence, which is benefiting beings, is not something unreal. It is something that actually manifests because there are such things as Buddhas. Buddhas are not merely symbolic. Buddhas are not merely, or, have turned into like machines, Buddhas are persons, persons like you and I, but with mental defilements removed. So all of this, right, all the 14 statements, finally, this last statement. As for Buddhas, then, so now you understand better what Buddhas are. And the final question is, as for Buddhas, where are they? Where are they? Here it says, nowhere but in the minds of sentient beings. Mind streams is a technical term that we can translate as in the minds, in the being of beings. In our minds, in our hearts. In other words, where will you ever find Buddha? Nowhere else but within you. So all Buddhas, they abide, they remain in the minds of sentient beings. Other than that, separate from that, there are no Buddhas to be found. So, let's look at Khenpo Kunpal's commentary. We'll start there. The intention of all Buddhas, you can also say the realization of all Buddhas of past, present, and future is equal. As in, it's same and not individual, meaning it's not like unique to only this Buddha, and this Buddha. Not like each Buddha, realize a different Buddhahood. When Buddhas realize Buddhahood, they all realize the same Buddhahood. It is the great clear light, which is the unseparated, indivisible, absolute space and wisdom. This very wisdom of the equality of existence and peace, meaning samsara and nirvana, is in actual fact a Buddha's wisdom kaya or Vajra kaya. Or this is another Vajra, Vajra kaya, which is sometimes also said to be a synonym for the Swabhavika kaya. This ultimate Buddha never wavers in his nature or in its nature from the absolute space of phenomena, which is the sameness of the past, present, and future, or never separate from the genuine limit. Genuine limit is a synonym for absolute space of phenomena, the Dharma Dhatu. So meaning, nowhere it is not. However, since it by nature is without a meeting with or parting from great compassion, it abides where it can oversee all beings' minds, from the lowest beings to the greatest bodhisattvas at the end of the path, meaning at the end, meaning the 10th Bhumi. Buddhas are present. Without dwelling exclusively in the sphere of peace, it abides in the entirety of the mundane and supramundane spheres included in all directions and times as the cause of inexhaustible benefit and well-being, free from destruction and disintegration. This nature of a Tathagata is permanent, pervasive, and spontaneously present, naturally present. It is said in the sutra, a Buddha dwells in the wisdom of the exalted Buddhas of the past, those who have not yet come, and those of the present. He does not dwell in nirvana. Buddhas don't go off somewhere else. He dwells in this genuine limit. A genuine limit is no limit. Without limit. He abides in the place where he can oversee all sentient beings. And it is like Protector Maitreya said, Through great compassion, the Buddha knows the world, overseeing the entire world while not wavering from the Dharmakaya. The Buddha performs the 12 Buddha activities through various kinds of emanations. And those far away or near to purity perceive within the sphere of the world or the victorious ones, like the moon reflected in water or in the sky. There are these two types. Footnote says, this means that worldly beings can only see a rupakaya, like the reflection of a moon in water, while a Buddha with a pure mind directly perceives the Dharmakaya. Then continuing, another quote, the sovereign Buddha always spontaneously acts with means for taming tameable beings according to their dispositions. With taming activities according to the dispositions of tameable beings, he appears at the right places and times. And effortless altruistic activities until the end of existence, like Indra, a drum, or clouds, like Brahma, the precious sun, or the king of wish-fulfilling jewels, like an echo, space, or the ground. Only yogis can understand these. Only true practitioners can understand, can recognize all these activities and manifestations of Buddha. Unfortunately, like in English, we have to use pronouns, he. In Tibetan, there is no reference like that. So much less, Buddhas are male, not even like human, not even this person, that person. Here, when we say Buddha, it means the awakened state. The awakened state, the awakened reality is right here. Poetically, we might say, oh, Buddha oversees everything. But be careful, especially those of us who come from theistic tradition, we might substitute and think, oh, this is like God, spying on us all the time. Or Santa Claus, for those who have replaced God. You better watch out, you better not cry, Santa Claus is watching. Buddha oversees everything, so be careful. Don't interpret it that way. Now, furthermore, it is not contradictory to explain each Vajra statement of this entire collection in terms of the ground, path, and fruition, or all three indivisibly and so forth. Besides this, they show many unique and superior profound key points, because this is the special feature, the uncommon nature of these Vajra statements. Thus, they can be explained in terms of any topic. This almost, if we're writing in English, we would say, put this in the footnote. But it's a different composition style. Yeah. Anyway, the next section, this present Vajra statement teaches the summarized meaning of the indivisible ground and fruition. Ground meaning basis, the basis of practicing to become a Buddha, and the fruition and the result of becoming Buddha. They are indivisible. And also that the nature of all sentient beings is primordially awake, primordially Buddha. It is like it is said. It is like how it is said in the sutra. Pure, transparent, clear light, unshaken, uncompounded. Such is Buddha nature. Its nature is to abide primordially. It is said in the Tantra, all these beings are embodiments of the five Buddhas. They appear as actors or excellent paintings. In the ultimate reality, there is the oneness called great bliss. However, the expression of this is the performance of multiple plays. It is said in the great net of magical manifestations, maybe problem with English translating this. The Buddha is the clearly shining wisdom light, the lamp for beings, which is ignited wisdom, great brilliance, clear light. So this is many quotes to show how Buddhas in the natural continuum. Chodra's quotes, some of Chodra's quotes, maybe we can look at that. He quotes the Vajra Tantra that says, sentient beings are Buddha, but are covered by adventitious defilements. When one removes these defilements, that is Buddha. Furthermore, he quotes Shantideva, which says, who made the ground of burning iron? And from where did these demonic beings arise from? The sage, the Buddha, declared that all such things are projections from your evil mind. Meaning, when your mind is tainted with the mental afflictions, then hell beings and hell realms become a reality. But when the mind is removed of these stains, that is Buddha. So whether Buddha or hell, they are merely the embodiment, right? The embodiment, the manifestation of mental defilements or lack of mental defilements. Chodra further quotes another sutra where in the Vimalakirti Nirdesha Sutra, Buddha's disciple called Shariputra, he saw a field as consisting mainly of high mountains and low valleys. Shariputra saw that. The Brahmin, this one Brahmin, Raupachen, who had come from the field of Buddha Ashokotamashri, so there was a visitor, you could say, from another universe, aliens. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, they already talked about intergalactic travel, right? So this being that came from another galaxy of another Buddha, looking at the same thing that Shariputra was looking at, he saw it only as a place of the Paranirmita gods, as in one of the heavenly realms. And then the Buddha taught his retinue that his Buddha field is similar to the field of Buddha Ratnavriya of the East, and that likewise it remains pure in all aspects. Whereas Buddha Shakyamuni says, actually, where I am here, Shariputra saw it as mountains and valleys. This guy who just came from another galaxy, he saw it as a divine realm. But I'm telling you, this is my pure land. Then Chodra says, furthermore, what is this natural place? Another slightly differently worded statement 15 says that Buddhas dwell in this natural place, which is the minds, the hearts of sentient beings. So here, what is this place? What is this that we call the natural place? Then it is nothing but the minds of sentient beings. It's the mind of sentient beings. And so all Buddhas dwell. Where can we find these Buddhas? Nowhere but within our own mind. So there's another one where it says, let's see. So this is in response to people who say, Buddhas dwell in Akanishta. Buddha dwell in this Pure Land, that Pure Land, here, there, Jigden Sungren says, no, So in Professor Zovish's translation, he provides a very famous, actually, incident. At the end of Jigten Sungman's life, Sherab Jungne, right, the one who compiled the statements of Gongchik, Sherab Jungne asked Jigten Sungman, he says, Protector, to which Buddha field will you proceed when you leave this world? This is when Jigten Sungman is dying. So his nephew asked, which Buddha field are you going to? Because often, such great lamas will say, oh, I'm going to Amitabha's Pure Land, I'm going to Akshobhya's Pure Land, I'm going to Guru Rinpoche's copper-colored Pure Land, I'm going to Avalokiteshvara's Potalaka Pure Land, so on and so forth. So Sherab Jungne asked Jigten Sungman, to which Jigten Sungman replied, this is the Buddha field. This, where he was, he says, this is the Buddha field. Where else should it be? Where else would the Buddha field be? The Buddha Pure Lands be? I dwell wherever the true nature of mind and Mahamudra are an inseparable unity. Meaning, when your mind, wherever and whenever your mind realizes the Mahamudra state, right there you will find me. Never separate from the practice, from cultivating your mind itself. This is the meaning of not being separated from me. If you work on cultivating your mind, then you are never separated from me. And then he ends by saying, how can I be at only a single place, be it Odiyana or Jalandhara? These are tantric Pure Lands, which everyone, like, oh, go to this Pure Land, go to that Pure Land. So Jigten Sungman says, I am not limited to. And for that matter, not just Jigten Sungman, all Buddhas. In the end, no place to go. No place to go. This is it, where we are. So in another commentary, it says, and this is useful. In many of our sadhana practice, at the end, we say, and the wisdom beings, return to their natural abodes. Vajra step. In sadhanas, many sadhanas at the end, we say, and the wisdom beings now depart to their natural abodes. Then you say the mantra, Vajra Mu. Yeah? In the commentaries here, it says, now, you all should understand what that really means. On the surface level, right, during our sadhana practice, after we have visualized the Buddhas and the Guru and whatever yidam in front, right, where we have visualized that, then we invite wisdom beings to come and dissolve into whatever we have visualized. Right? Then we say, oh, let's say you're practicing Avalokiteshvara, or you're practicing Amitabha. Then you say, oh, wisdom lights, go to the Western Pure Land of Amitabha, the Pure Land of Great Bliss, bringing the actual wisdom being of Amitabha, dissolving into the visualization. Then the Samaya being, which is the visualization, and the wisdom beings invited, dissolve inseparably as one. Then at the end of the practice, after reciting mantras, after making offerings, all of that, after making praises, then we say, okay, now, wisdom beings, you can go back to the natural place. Vajramu. Right? Now it says in this in the commentary for this statement, they say, Now you need to understand, where have they gone? They have gone into the hearts and minds of sentient beings. Your own heart and mind, the heart and mind of others. You want to find the most immediate Buddha? Look within yourself. Cannot find? Look into others. Because Buddhas also exist in others. Yeah, Buddhas also exist in others. So this is a profound statement. Dorshema and Rinjangma ends the commentary for this statement by bringing it back to something that is very dear to Jigten Sumgön's heart, which is disciplined conduct. So they state that all the Buddha activities actually exist within the individual natural continuum of all beings. All Buddha qualities exist within our minds. If a person engages in bad conduct, the opposite of disciplined conduct, not only do all ordinary beings perceive this person's wrongdoing, but all the Buddhists also see it. On the other hand, if a person behaves with disciplined conduct, skillful conduct of body, speech, and mind, then this is the entrance gate for Buddha activities and blessings to manifest. So we can manifest the Buddha activities with our disciplined conduct. We are either manifesting Buddha activities with our disciplined conduct, or we are manifesting samsara and even the sufferings of the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, the animal realms, through our bad conduct. So don't leave, Buddha is to be found within you, within beings, into some kind of mystical state, or some philosophical abstract, some intellectual abstraction. See it in disciplined conduct or its opposite, causes of happiness or causes of suffering. Look at it there. Let it manifest there. Let it end there. It's how Dorshema and Rinjangma ends this final statement, the commentary for this final statement. Dharmakirti's short commentary in verse form has some very beautiful lines. Let me read to you. He says, and all sentient beings are simply Buddhas but covered by adventitious defilements. This is a quote from a famous sutra. Then unquote. It is called transcendence, but there nothing else exists, which is nirvana. It is called nirvana, but there nothing else exists. In the sutra-related text, it is said, samsara and nirvana are not different. To understand the nature of samsara, that itself is nirvana. So if we substitute, Sentient beings and Buddhas are no different. To understand the nature of sentient beings, that is Buddha. To understand, to realize, to see completely. And then here are the words, right? Hence, dualistic thought saying that a so-called Buddha is someone noble, residing in some pure Buddha field, while so-called ordinary beings are false, are vulgar, wandering in samsara. Such thoughts, such ideas, such dualistic thoughts, such dualistic ideas, are at all times, from beginningless beginning until endless end, harmful. Such thoughts. Samsara and nirvana are inseparable. One's own mind is the actual Buddha. This is the same for all other beings as well. The one whose mind is certain about the absolute meaning of this realization is what we call awake, enlightened. So hence dualistic thoughts that say a Buddha is someone noble residing in the pure Buddha field, while so-called ordinary beings are false or vulgar, wandering in samsara. Such thoughts are at all times, from beginning to end, harmful. Samsara and nirvana are inseparable. Meaning, when you realize the nature of samsara, that itself is nirvana. When say samsara and nirvana is inseparable, it doesn't mean, oh, well, nothing to do now. I'm pretty sure I'm in samsara, so I must be in nirvana. Doesn't mean that, okay? Samsara and nirvana are inseparable. And one's own mind is the actual Buddha. It also doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm pretty sure I have my own mind and it's pretty crazy, but it's also Buddha. Okay, I'm good now. It doesn't mean that. It means other than your own mind, if you go look anywhere else, you're not going to find Buddha. You're not going to find awakening. You're not going to find Buddhahood. Right here. And if your own obscurations are too heavy, you can't see Buddha, look at others. Buddhas also exist in them. Poetically exist in them. You should not think, there's them and there's Buddha, okay? And Buddha is like some spy lodged in them. It's basically saying their nature is Buddha, the nature is awake. So this is statement 15. We're not done with this commentary, so tomorrow we will continue to the conclusion part, the virtuous ending, the conclusion. That part is important because it really gives the advice to those who say, we are Drigungpas, we are followers of Drigungkagyu, we are followers of Gyopa Jigten Sungen. So the last part, Khenpo Kunpal. Khenpo Kunpal himself is a Nyingmapa Lama, but he composed this text, as he will explain here, because one of his students had recently, this is like 1 century back, had recently been appointed as the main scholar teacher at a Drigungkagyu seminary. The last Chesang Rinpoche, our current Chesang Rinpoche, but the previous Chesang Rinpoche, built a Buddhist seminary in Drigungtir. in the headquarters, the head monastery, close to there, build a seminary. Then the first scholar master that they invited to teach there, his name is Bobatugu, was a Nyingma Khenpo, who was a disciple of Khenpo Kunpal. Bobatugu was there mainly to teach the 13 Indian Buddhist texts, treatises of Indian Buddhism. But while there, of course, the Dragong people, who are the main people studying there, they said to Bobatugu, can you also say a few words about this collection called Gongchik? So then it is said that Bobatugu requested his teacher Khenpo Kunpal back in eastern Tibet and said, I need a succinct commentary that I can teach these monks here. So then Khenpo Kunpal wrote or compiled and wrote this commentary, very short and succinct, so that his student Bobatugu can teach to the Dragong monks. So here Khenpo Kunpal says, hey, you guys who call yourselves disciples of Jigten Sumgön, followers of the Dragong Kagyu, please, treasure what you have. Don't walk around and say you are Dragongpas. Meanwhile, you don't know anything about the unique teachings of Jigten Sumgön. And wander around, he says, yapping around like foxes, where you should be lions. Always the contrast is lions and foxes. Foxes just wah, wah, wah. Lions roar. He says, you guys should learn how to, you are baby, like you are lion cubs, he says. Why are you yapping around like foxes? He's actually saying to them, please, focus on this, because on Kyoba Rinpoche's teachings, he says, then you can roar like a lion. No matter how well you howl and bark like a fox, is nothing compared to the lion's roar. Okay, good. Now we make our dedication. It's a little long today. Yesterday was short, whole class, so sorry, today a little longer. Sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, please heed me. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by me in the entirety of samsara and nirvana and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstructors who harm, and those who create obstacles, martyrs who mislead, and their martyr retinues have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment with my mind stream, moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta. May I become a virtuous spiritual friend with good qualities, limitless as space, May I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Okay, see you tomorrow, unless you are part of Wednesday night Dharmakirti group. Then see you guys tonight. And ta-ta.